Just start. Alright, listen, this is the first video on my channel, and I know what you are doing right now. You're watching this with that little voice in your head going, yeah, motivational video, I've heard this all before. And that's exactly why I need you to stay for a second, because this isn't a speech, this is me talking to you, like, directly, because if you're the type of person that keeps saving, ideas like bookmarks, and you keep telling yourself you'll start when you have time, or when you have money, or when you feel ready, I need you to understand something. You're not lazy, and you're not broken, you're just stuck in the most common trap on earth, the trap that the most people are in. And that trap is called waiting. And waiting looks responsible and feels responsible. It looks mature. It looks like you're just being careful. Waiting looks like you're planning. But waiting is usually fear in disguise. Fear is a liar. It doesn't come at you like a monster. It comes at you like a friend. Pause. It sits next to you and goes, hey, not yet. You're not ready. You're gonna embarrass yourself. What are you doing? And you believe it because that's you telling that to yourself. But it's not. It's your fear. And fear knows your language well enough that it can pass as you. And if you don't catch it, years will go by. Not days, years. And then one random night, you'll be lying in your bed and it'll hit you. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a music in the background way. Just a heavy realization that you could have been so far by now. But you chose to stay where you are. And that pain is something that I've been through and I don't want for you. So yeah, this video is called Just Start because starting isn't the cute part. Starting is the part that saves you. Starting is the part that separates the people who talk about life from the people who actually live it. And I know people hate that. They're like, bro, stop acting like you're better than me. I'm not. I'm just telling you the truth, and honestly, I'm still in this in many ways. The truth is, your entire life changes the moment that you stop negotiating with your potential. I'll tell you a story. I had this friend, not even like a close friend, more like someone I knew through a few people, and every time I saw him, he had a new plan, always. One month it's a clothing brand, and next month it's a podcast. Then he was starting to flip stuff on eBay, and then he was gonna move cities. And then it was crypto, and then it was music. Yeah, you get it. And at first you're like, okay, respect. He's got vision. But after a while, it starts to get a bit weird because his plans were never real. They were just words. He never did them. They were like posters. I remember this one day, he pulled me aside and he was being serious. He was like, bro, I figured it out. This is the one. I'm locked in. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he starts explaining his whole thing, and it's actually a really good idea, like, genuinely. And at the end, he goes, but I'm not starting yet. I'm just waiting for this. And then he says a few things he's waiting for. And I remember thinking, you can't wait for the perfect setup. Because life doesn't come with a perfect setup. It comes with noise. Life comes with bills and bad sleep and people judging you and your own mood switching on you for no reason. There is no perfect setup. There's only momentum, and there's only you being in motion. And here's the part that hurt. 2 years later, I see him again. Of course, he didn't start that thing he was talking about. But he's telling me this new idea he has with the same words and same energy as before. And I ask him something I probably shouldn't have, but it just came out. I'm like, why are you still talking about this? Why are you still talking about things like this? And he laughed. He had to laugh, but then he got quiet. And he's like, I don't know. I just keep thinking I need to be ready. And in that moment I realized something. A lot of people don't need more information. They need courage. A lot of people do not need another video to watch. They need to stop protecting their ego like it's a newborn baby, because that's what waiting really is. It's just protecting your ego. Waiting is you trying to guarantee you'll look good before you even start. But the universe doesn't reward looking good. It rewards showing up. Just showing up, that's it. Do you ever see someone at the gym who's clearly new? Like, you can tell they're wearing brand new shoes, brand new outfit. They look lost, they're not using the machines correctly. And what do most people do? They respect it, because starting is brave. But in your head, you think that everyone's gonna laugh. You think that everyone's gonna point at them. You think everyone's gonna remember their first attempt forever. But nobody cares. Honestly, no one cares. And I'm not saying that to roast you. I'm not saying that, I'm saying that to free you. You think you're the main character in everyone's memory, but you're not. Everyone's the main character in their own head. And they're busy being insecure about themselves. So when you tell yourself, I can't start because I might look stupid, you're honestly just not being realistic. Right? You're being trapped by your own mind. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, but what if I do start and it looks bad? Yes, it will be bad. That's the point. Your first version of anything is going to be mid. It has to be, because you're a beginner, and beginners are allowed to be beginners. But we do this thing where we demand expert results from our first day, and then we call ourselves a failure when it doesn't look like the person we see on social media who's been doing it for 5 years. You're not a failure, you're just early. And early is uncomfortable. It looks like no one's watching. It looks like talking to a camera and feeling goofy, right? It looks like posting something and getting 7 likes and 5 of them are your friends. It looks like building something and it's ugly and clunky and doesn't work properly. And if you can survive early, your life opens up, because early is the toll. It's the price you have to pay. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of being early. And you're not meeting that person by thinking. You're meeting that person by doing. I have another story. I was in a grocery store, not doing anything special, just, getting food for the next few days. And I see this older guy in the aisle, and he's staring at the shelves. He's staring at them like they're speaking a different language. I don't know. And he looks frustrated. Like he actually looks mad. So I go up to him and ask him if he needs any help. And he goes, nah, I'm good. But he's not good from what you can see. And he's obviously doing that thing where men pretend they're fine because admitting you need help feels like the end of the world. So I stand there for a second and I'm like, are you looking for something? What are you looking for? And he sighs. And he goes, I'm trying to find the rice. And I point right in front of him where he was standing, because it's right there. And then he laughs, but it's not a happy laugh. It's a laugh that has regret in it. And then he says something that I still think about now. This was a few months ago, and I'm bringing it up now. He said, I hate learning new stuff now. When you get older, everything feels embarrassing. You should already know it all. And that hit me, because that wasn't just about the rice. That's about life in general. This is about people who stop starting until it's too late, because starting requires you to be seen as someone who doesn't know. And our ego hates that. Our ego wants you to look competent at least. It wants you to look polished. It wants you to look like you've always been that guy. And that's why I think so many people never become anything. Because they'd rather look safe than be free. They'd rather look cool than be capable. They'd rather look like they have potential than risk proving they don't. And that's tragic, because potential isn't a personality. It's a receipt. It's proof that you owe the world something. And I know that sounds crazy, but listen, you don't get ideas on accident. You don't get that pull on your chest on accident. You don't get that feeling of I'm meant for more than where I am right now for no reason. It's a responsibility. And if you keep ignoring it, it's going to turn into bitterness. Not because you're a bad person, because your soul knows you're playing small. You can't lie to yourself forever. Eventually you'll start coping. You'll start talking down on people who try, like you see all over the internet. You'll start saying, "Oh, that's cringe." You'll start saying, "Everyone is doing that now." You'll start acting like it's stupid to care. And that's just you protecting yourself. That's you trying to make peace with the fact that you never started. And I don't want you to become that person. I want you to become the person who's proud. Not because you went viral or because you got rich. I mean, that's great if that happens, but I just want you to be proud that you respected your own life enough to move and do the things you said you were going to do. And I know, you're like, okay, but I have responsibilities, I have school, I have work, I'm stressed. Facts. I'm not denying reality. I'm saying you're gonna have responsibilities anyway. The difference is you can have stress and still have progress, or you can have stress with regret. You gotta pick one, because either way, life costs, right? Time moves, and time's not waiting for you to feel ready, because you know what regret really is? Regret is realizing that you've traded your life for comfort while you keep telling yourself that you were being cautious. Regret's looking back and realizing that the things that you were scared of were never as painful as the life that you built by avoiding them. So when people say, just start, it sounds like a quote, but it's actually a warning, because waiting feels completely harmless. It feels like no decision yet, but waiting is the decision. It's the decision to stay the same. It's a decision to let fear make the call. And fear doesn't love you. Fear wants you small, wants you predictable, because that's safe and that doesn't involve you putting yourself out there and potentially making a fool of yourself. And small means you'll never have to face the possibility that you actually could have been great. Because if you never start, you never fail. If you never fail, you never have to feel that pain. So fear keeps you in a waiting room. And the waiting room's got snacks, it's got comfort, it has scrolling in your bed, it has planning, and it has research, it has one more video before I start, it has, I'll just do it next week, or after I get in shape, after I move, after I fix my sleep, and then you blink, and it's 2029, and you're still in that waiting room. And listen, this is the part where people will get offended, because they want a softer truth, but the truth is that nobody is coming. No one's going to save you. No, the circumstances aren't going to save you. No one's going to knock on your door and be like, hey, it's time to become who you're supposed to be. That's your job. No one's going to do that for you. And I know that sounds heavy, but it's also the most freeing thing on earth when you realize it, because if it is your job, that means you have control. You're paused right now. You can just press play. You can press it today, you can press it tomorrow, or you can press it in 10 years. And I don't mean that in some dramatic way. I mean in the smallest, most basic way, because starting rarely looks heroic. Starting looks like showing up when nobody's clapping. Starting looks like you being awkward in private. And that's where most people quit. They quit at the exact moment the magic's about to begin. You know You know that like mining image where the guy is just about to get to the diamonds and he turns back? That's you. That's you right now. Whether you think it is or not, you think you might have years before you're where you want to be. I promise you, that's not right. Because beginning feels like proof that you're not talented. But the beginning is not proof you're not talented, it's proof you're human. And humans learn through reps. They learn through exposing themselves to certain things. They learn through doing the thing and surviving the discomfort. That's literally how your nervous system adapts. Why would it be any different for your mind? And you want to know why confidence is rare? Because confidence is earned. And it's earned in private. It's earned when you do the thing even when every fiber of being is telling you that, oh, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's earned when you post anyway, or when you speak up anyway. It's earned when you start the business anyway, or when you go to the gym anyway, when you don't feel like it. It's earned when you learn the skill anyway. Confidence is a side effect of keeping promises to yourself. And right now, a lot of you have too many broken promises to yourself. So you don't trust yourself. And that's why starting feel as impossible. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because you're not fighting the task. You're not fighting your own history. So every time you say you would do it and you don't do it, you're actively training your brain to stop believing in you. So when you say, I will start, your brain goes, liar. That's not you being weak. That's just you've conditioned yourself that way. And the way you fix that conditioning is not by thinking harder, it's by proving it wrong. You prove it wrong by doing what you said you were going to do, even if it's small or imperfect or if it's messy. And that's why I'm starting my channel with this. Just start. Because that's me right now. You know? The first win isn't the result. The first win is movement. Movement is identity. It's telling your brain that we're not that person anymore. And listen, this is important. A lot of people think they need motivation. They think they need to feel inspired all the time. They think they need to be in a good mood. But mood is also a liar. Mood, it changes with the weather. If you're building your life on mood, you will be consistent for 3 days. You know, you'll be more consistent than the people who do it whenever, but then you'll disappear for 3 months. The people who build lives do not build it based on their mood. They build it on identity. They decide who they are, and they act like it, even when it's annoying or it's boring or when no one's watching. And that's why you see people who are successful and you're like, how do they keep going? It's because they're not negotiating with themselves. They're not asking themselves every day if they feel like it. They've already decided. And I know that's probably not what you want to hear. But it's loving yourself. It's self-respect. You know the Justin Bieber song? You should go and love yourself. Yeah, that one. I know he says it in like a bad way. But I think you should do that. Because the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop living like your dreams are optional. Your dreams aren't a hobby. They're your responsibility. And here's the twist. Starting doesn't change what you do. It changes how you see the world. Once you start something, you'll see how much time you're wasting. You'll start seeing how many options you were too scared to do. You'll start seeing how many people around you are just talking like you've been doing. And you start realizing something. Most people aren't judging you because you're doing bad. They're judging you because you're doing anything. Because trying is like a mirror. You know? People will look at you trying and see themselves if they started trying. And these mirrors make people insecure and angry. Well, any mirror does, but you get my point. So yeah, you might get comments, you might get someone making a joke, you might get someone acting weird. That's part of it. Just be real with you, that's part of it. But let me tell you something. The people who truly respect you won't laugh at you beginning. They'll recognize it, because anyone who's ever built something knows the beginning is sacred. The beginning is where you find out what you're made of. And these people who make fun of you are revealing something about themselves. They're revealing that they've never started anything that they care about. Because if they had, they'd understand. They would know how vulnerable it is to put a piece of yourself out into the world. So if you're scared of judgment, just ask yourself a question. Are you more scared of strangers judging you, or are you more scared of being the person who never tried? Because one of those is just temporary, and one of those is a life sentence. And listen, I'm not here to gas you up with fake hope. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be easy. Starting is hard. Starting is annoying. It forces you to feel exposed. It makes you confront the gap between what you think of in your mind and what you can currently do. And that gap hurts. And that's why so many people avoid it. Because when you start, you see yourself clearly. You see where you're weak. You see where you're sloppy. You see what you've been ignoring. And that can feel like shame. But it's not shame. It's just reality. And reality is a gift, because you can't change what you refuse to face. So if you start and it's bad, good. Now you have something real. Now you're not living in fantasy anymore. Now you have a target. And this is where progress becomes possible. Have you ever tried to steer a parked car? You can sit there, hands on the wheel, trying to be precise, but nothing is happening. And then you start moving, even slowly, and suddenly the steering works. That's life. You can't steer a life that's not moving. You can't redefine what doesn't even exist yet. You can't edit a blank page. You can't improve an idea that never becomes real. So stop trying to be the perfect parked car and just move. And I know you're like, okay, but what if I start and I realize that I'm not good? That's another lie, because being not good isn't an identity. It's a moment. It's what happens when you start. Nobody is good at first. And then you become good. How fast you become good is going to be different from person to person, but you still have to go through the process of becoming good. That's how skills work. There's no secret. There's no chosen one. You know, it's just reps, it's time, and it's discomfort that's going to get you to the place you want to be. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. And the reason it feels so rare today is because most people don't have the patience to be bad publicly. Most people would rather be talented in their imagination than to just try and be awkward in reality. And that's why they stay stuck. And listen, I'm going to say something that sounds harsh, but deep down you know it's true. Your life isn't a museum. It's not meant to be preserved. It's meant to be used. And if you're waiting to feel safe until you begin, you're never going to begin. Because starting is the thing that creates safety. Starting is what builds trust with yourself. Starting is what turns fear into familiarity. Fear is your brain going, I don't know what happens next. And the only way to teach your brain what happens next is to go there. So yeah, just start. And if you're thinking, start what? You know what you've been avoiding. You know the thing you think about when you're alone. You know the idea that keeps coming back. You know the skill you keep telling yourself you'll learn. You know the business, you know the gym, you know the conversation you have. You know. And the reason you keep thinking about it is because it's not done with you yet. It's still calling you. And you can either answer it now, or you can keep on ignoring it until it's too late and it turns into regret. Regret is quieter than fear, sure, but it lasts longer. It lasts a lifetime. Fear is loud in the moment, but regret is a slow leak. It drains you. It makes you feel numb. Makes you feel cynical. It makes you watch other people live, and then you act like living is corny or cringe. That's not who you are. You're not a spectator. You're not here to just consume. You're here to build. You're here to create. You're here to become someone. And if you're watching this, something in you still believes that, because you've made it this far. Good. Protect that part of you. Don't let the internet roast it out of you. Don't let your friends make jokes until you no longer want to do it. Don't let your own procrastination turn you into someone you don't respect. Because you're not going to improve if you don't respect yourself. And right now, you need to respect yourself enough to begin. Even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, even if you feel cringe. Actually, especially if you feel cringe. Because being cringe is temporary. Being cringe is just your ideas of how you should be changing. Being stuck, that is what is deadly. And I'll tell you the real secret. The moment you start, the world starts responding. Not in any sort of magical manifestation way, just in a practical way. You start seeing opportunities that you didn't see before. You start meeting people you thought you'd never meet. You start getting feedback. You start, it starts becoming more clear what you need to do. And you start building a track record. And once you have that track record, your confidence changes, because you're no longer just relying on hope and, someday I want to be like this. You have evidence now. Evidence that you can move and that you have moved. Evidence that you have survived discomfort and that you can keep promises to yourself and to others. And that changes everything. So yeah, this is the first video. This is the whole point of this channel, is to remind you of something you already know but you keep forgetting. Something that everyone knows deep down, but maybe they just need it told to them. Your life is not going to start when you feel ready. Your life starts when you decide, and deciding looks like action. Not perfect action, just action that's real. And if you're scared, start scared. If you're tired, start tired. If you're confused, start confused. You know the drill. Motion creates clarity. Stillness creates stories. Stories that maybe you're making up what you're doing, or stories about one day I might do this. And most of your anxiety is just stories. So stop storytelling and start living. Seems so simple, and yet no one does it. And if you need a sign, this is it. Not some magical sign from the heavens, just a practical sign. And not because I'm special, because you are. Because your time is real, and your potential is not meant to rot on Instagram reels for 5 hours a day. Or your potential is not meant to rot with your note in your notes app with all the potential ideas, because you deserve to meet the version of you that exists on the other side of starting. And that version of you is not waiting for you to feel confident. That version of you is waiting for you to move. And I know all of you here are new, so welcome. And if this hits you, if this is the kind of energy you need, tap in. And if you're about to start something after this, good for you. I'm proud of you. Proud of you just for starting, not for succeeding, just for moving. Just know I'm rooting for you. Have a good day.